Welcome to the next lesson in this module, where you'll learn how to manage Android virtual machines. Virtual machines, or VMs, allow you to run code on your development machine as though it were inside a physical Android device. One of the reasons this is useful is for testing runtime behavior of your app when you don't have a physical device to test your code on, or the physical device or devices you have aren't of the exact same specifications as to what you want to test your code on. This could mean having a different size screen, having a physical keyboard or not, or testing a different version of the Android API. Therefore, in this lesson, we'll show you how to do 4 things: manage your current virtual machines, how to create a new virtual machine, how to start a virtual machine, and how to run your app on a virtual machine. The first step in managing, creating, or starting a virtual device running Android is to open the Android Virtual Device Manager. To do that, you will click this button here. When you mouse over it, it will say AVD Manager. Click that, and this window will appear. This is a list of all the virtual machines you have created on your machine. Once you have a virtual device set up and you want to start it, all you have to do is click the green play button right here to launch the virtual machine. However, if your virtual machine doesn't launch for some reason, or if you want to create a new virtual device, then you will want to click on the button labeled Create Virtual Device. A new window will pop up asking you to select which pre-configured hardware configuration you wish to select. We will be using the Nexus 5 for all of our examples and assignments, so go ahead and select that and click Next. Then you will see a list of system images that you have installed on your system. My list is probably a bit longer than yours, but that doesn't matter. The important thing is to understand what you're looking at. This grid of information contains 2 key columns: the API level and the ABI. These are the 2 central columns. The API level is the API level of the image or Android operating system version that you want to run on your virtual device. The ABI, or Application Binary Interface, is the specification of what kind of CPU architecture your virtual device will emulate. The important thing to know from this is that the ARM EABI version 7 is the most universal, but it will run slower on our machines because it isn't of the same instruction set as our desktops or laptops. Therefore, running an x86 or an x86-64 image would be faster. However, your device, meaning your laptop or desktop, needs to have a CPU that allows for virtualization and needs to have a feature turned on. I won't go into how to do this now because each CPU and each system is different, and you will have to address this yourself. Therefore, my recommendation is to use the ARM EABI version 7 ABI with the level 22 API. If you do not have that listed in your window here, then click the Show Downloadable System Images checkbox here, and you will see a list of system images that you can download onto your system. Note that there will be 2 system images that contain both the ARM ABI and level 22 API. You will want to download the system image that contains with Google APIs. Once you have this downloaded and then selected, click Next. This last window will display additional features that you can change, but for now, I will recommend not changing anything and just clicking Finish. The wizard will create that virtual machine for you, and to start it, you will just click that green triangle play button located here. This will launch the Android virtual device for you. Once the progress bar for the starting of your Android Virtual Device has completed, you can close the Android Virtual Device Manager. The Android Virtual Device will appear such as this. You can move the window as you normally would any other window, and we will wait for the Android Virtual Device to finish booting. The boot process is similar to a physical device, so therefore we will just need to wait for the virtual device to finish booting. Once it's finished booting, we can interact with it as we would a normal physical device. This enables us to test our application on a virtual device. Now, we'll show you how to run an Android app on a virtual machine and/or a physical device. The term emulator is interchangeable with the term virtual machine in this context. Therefore, I'll use that now, since it is what the on-screen dialogues that you will see in a few moments will mention. Also, the phrase starting your app will also sometimes be called launching your app. Both are also fine. To start with, let us take a freshly created project that was just auto-generated by the new Project Wizard. In addition, which window or windows you have open within Android Studio and what you have selected generally doesn't matter when you attempt to launch your app. There are some advanced topics which will impact this, but we will cover those in the future when they become important. For now, the important thing to know is that all you have to do to start running your app on a device, be it physical or an emulated one, is to press the Run App button. This is a green triangle that looks like a play button. This button is within the toolbar at the top of Android Studio. You can see a zoomed in representation of this within the red highlighted box. Pressing the green button will tell Android Studio that you wish to run your app. I will press it now. Each time you reopen an Android Studio project, the following window will appear when you press the Run Play button for the first time. This window is asking you how you would like to run your app. There are two main options. You can choose to run on a currently running device, or you can launch an emulator. When making use of an emulator, I always try to launch the emulator just after opening Android Studio. This way, it has had time to fully start up before I actually need it. When you have an emulator currently running, or you have a physical device connected to your development machine, they will be listed in the first section of this window. Android Studio allows you to have multiple emulators started at once, that is if your hardware can physically support it, and it allows you to have multiple physical devices connected at once also. However, when you would have multiple devices connected, you need a mechanism to determine which device to direct your app to for it to run on. The first section here in the window lists all currently connected emulators and physical devices. I currently only have a single emulator running on my development machine. If you don't already have an emulator running, or if you want to start a new one, you can do so by clicking on the second radio button labeled Launch Emulator. There is a drop-down box in this section that allows you to select previously configured emulators, or you can press the button after it that will open up the Android Virtual Device Manager, which we used earlier. This allows you to edit or create a new emulator if you choose so. I'll go ahead and close this window and go back to the Device Chooser window. I'll click on the radio button labeled Choose a Running Device, and the emulator I currently have running will be selected, as is the only option available. If there were more devices currently running, you could choose between them. If you only have a single device, be it an emulator or physical device, that you are testing your app on right now, then you can click the checkbox labeled Use Same Device for future launches. This will result in future presses of the green Run App button skipping this Device Chooser window and automatically launching your app on the device you have chosen. I will go ahead and uncheck this box for now and click OK to tell Android Studio to first build my app, then to copy my app file over to the device, and then to launch the app on the device. I'll press OK now. You'll notice that a new window has appeared at the bottom of Android Studio. This new window is called the Android Monitor. It allows us to monitor the device that our app is currently running on. You can easily open and close the Android Monitor window by clicking in the tab below labeled Android Monitor. The Android Monitor shows us information about the device that we are connected to, such as memory, CPU, GPU, and network usage. It also shows us the Logcat tab, which is where the logs of both the system and apps are displayed. This Logcat tab in particular will be very useful later when you are trying to analyze your app's runtime behavior. However, this topic is beyond the scope of this lesson and will be discussed later in greater detail. I will now switch to the emulator that I have had running in the background and show you that our app is now running on it. Our app doesn't yet have any logic in it, so pressing the button won't do anything. But we have successfully launched our app onto an emulator. Launching an app onto a physical device is the same process. You just have to choose it from the list in the Device Chooser window when it appears. Now that you've completed this lesson, you should understand how to manage your current VMs, how to create a new VM, how to start a VM, and how to run your app on a VM.